way we can look at the situation too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yvonne Obianwanko says there is no excuse for bad behavior. The writer was just being nice to the person sitting by him since they were in the same place. The white man started wanting to become nice after I found out who he was. You don't have to be nice because of who people are. Be nice to all, okay? Be kind and don't let other people's reaction make you act unkind. As Ayanate and Musumala says, I like the fact that the black guy didn't allow the white guy's attitude to get to him. He remained himself despite being spoken to unkindly. I'm asking myself, would I be able to keep calm while someone is being nasty? I'm not sure I would have been able to keep calm as well, but the other thing is the guy is, black in color, the pigmentation of his skin. And then number two, he has Down syndrome. Could that have contributed to it? We may never know. But that is, we all in some way or the other, or not we all, some of us still do things like that in some other shades. And that is why we are having this conversation today on the rules of engagement, superior relationship skills, because there are laws in our head. I mean, I would have loved to profile that white guy and sit him down and understand what he has been taught growing up, how he grew up, what has been put in his mind, because that was surely, there was a way that guy was represented in his mind for him to have looked and talked in such a condescending manner. Now, rules of engagement is one of the most critical factors you need to master if you want to be successful in life or in business. A lot of us have shortchanged ourselves by the laws on our mind, be it religious laws, be it cultural laws, social laws, or what have you. Now, if you don't understand the rules of engagement of the battles you want to win, you become very frustrated when things don't go your way. So, for example, the rules of engagement differ from culture to culture. If you are doing business in Nigeria, for example, at the moment, the rules of engagement is totally different from if you are doing a business maybe in the US or in the UK or in other parts of the world. Even within Nigeria, there are also rules of engagement depending on where you are doing business at. For example, I understand that if you want to do business in Abuja at certain levels, or maybe in some parts of the north, you need to find maybe a Fulani man and put him as a member of your board or as one of your technical partners for you to get some things passed, maybe based on the government in power. That is an example of rules of engagement. You can, sit down and pray from now till tomorrow and ask for favor. If you don't understand the rules of engagement, you will realize that you'll be competent, but your competence will not find the expression. You know that in some states in Nigeria, for example, it is man, no man. If you don't understand that rules of engagement and you are bragging about your competence and how intelligent you are, your file may not be passed. In some places, the rules of engagement is finder's fee, which is otherwise known as bribe or kickback or something like that. If so, companies that are smart, what they have learned to do is to put it as a policy that anyone who finds them business will be entitled to 30% of the profit or 30% of the project fee or something like that, so that they can appease their mind that they are not giving bribe, because it will be counterproductive when you know bribery and corruption is a culture in a particular place, and you want to use your own rules of engagement that is totally different. That is why you realize that many foreign companies, by the time they come to certain developing economies, they work by the rules of engagement. So if they cannot give kickback in their own culture, you find them do that in some other culture. So you need to understand where you are per time. What is the rules of engagement with your spouse? What is the rules of engagement with your children? What is the rules of engagement in your sector? What is the rules of engagement in the community and the environment you are domiciled? Now, as innovators, you need to activate your mind to understand that there are doors you will never break into unless someone from inside brings you in. Now, if you stand on that door and knock from now till tomorrow, the door may not open unless there is someone within. So how do you, if you understand that rule, and those rules are not written, so you want to find out by understanding patterns, the people that have entered this door, how did they enter, right? And you see, and that brings me to the concept of right and wrong. Now, which we are going to talk about a bit, because again, this is Savior's meeting. What people have done over time is they've moved beyond right and wrong to a level called peace and progress. Because again, right and wrong becomes very relative depending on what is at stake and who is involved. So I am going to ask today, and I'm going to paint a number of scenarios, and I'll bring people from the floor to try and answer the question. I want to be very honest. What is right and what is wrong? And when is right, right? And when is wrong, wrong? So here are three scenarios. Number one, your entire family and children will be killed in the next 1 year, guaranteed, except you divorce your partner and marry your primary school boyfriend for 2 years. Guaranteed. There is no middle point. So the family, your children, your loved one, even your husband, you know, they are going to be killed in 1 year. The date has been set. The only condition, I think I was saying a documentary, you know, a series, I think it's Black Mirror, where they kidnapped a princess in England, and the terrorists said that the prime minister, the only way they will not kill the princess is for the prime minister to have sex with a pig on live TV. Now, initially, everyone in the UK then, you know, said, oh, no, it will not happen. Of course, it's a movie. They said, no, it will not happen. There was 27 approval rating that says, go ahead, do it. Majority of people said, don't do it. Then the terrorists, you know, sent a finger, somebody's finger, which everybody thought was the finger of the prince. In fact, they severed the hand of the princess. They showed it on through video. Of course, that didn't happen, but they sent a finger to a news outlet. The moment those ones broadcast that news, everybody in the UK began to say, no, let the prime minister do it, because they can't afford for the princess to die. I mean, you know the way the monarch system is, right? And to save the queen, the prime minister had to go on live TV to have sex with, in fact, his wife. Everybody couldn't take it, didn't want it, but to save the life of the princess, the prime minister had to go on here to have sex with a pig on live TV. And the moment while he was doing that, they went to dump the princess somewhere. Of course, they were going to humiliate him by making him do that. But here are three scenarios, and I want volunteers to raise their hand to respond. Your entire family and children will be killed, except you divorce your partner and marry your primary school boyfriend that you have even lost touch with for 2 years, and you have to marry that guy for 2 years. What will you do? Right. Who is ready to talk about that one? Then number two, you can pick any of them. Someone has come to rape your family, and while trying to do that, you grab a gun and you can actually shoot. But there's a law in your head. You are a Christian. Thou shalt not kill. What will you do? Number three, the government is going to demolish your entire estate and sell it to the highest bidders. But you had your badly behaved cousin, whom all of you know, that girl is very loose. She sleeps with everyone. She carries sugar daddy. You know, you just add that she's the side chick to the governor and the only person the governor listens to. What will you do? Will you activate her? So I want volunteers to pick any of the case scenarios and share what you will do in any of these cases. Anybody? Akirako, you want to attempt any of them?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think number two is so easy for me to do. I will blow the guy's head because he came to attack my family, and I have every resources at my disposal to just waste the guy. So I will do that. I will waste the guy. I won't think twice.
So you will suspend the rules of thou shalt not kill and waste the guy. I mean, that's basically it. Okay, Bukola Ajiboye, can we have you? Which one are you attempting?
Okay. With the rules of engagement for two of them, one, I would not kill the guy. All I have to do is aim the gun where I can demobilize him. I haven't killed the guy. I haven't killed the guy. He can't shoot, and he's demobilized. Either you shoot him in the kneecap and all that. For the side chick to the governor, with of course the people who do moral standing, I think I'll just befriend the side chick and just relate with her without having to even talk about her relationship with whatever, and even in my conversation I say, oh, I understand that you have an affinity with the governor and all that. There's something of social importance. I'm sure that you can weigh in on it. So give me your opinion. What do you think? I'd like to have the governor sign something about it, but make her be part of the project itself.
Okay, so that's the activating that you are still activating that whichever way. Okay, that's fine, Bukola. Okay, Ife, can we have you?
The like Rocco said, number 2 is a no-brainer, because I mean, if you have the presence of mind to think of where you demobilize him, fine. You may think of that in the urgency of the moment. You may not think of, I will definitely do something against him. If he dies, fine. If he doesn't die, all well and good. But it's not going to be a big problem. The girl is also not an issue, because there's no, you eat humble pie. Depends on who, regardless of who she is. Once you know someone that can help, what's her moral lifestyle compared to what is at stake? It's not whether it's having a reasonable discussion, even if it's to beg her, there's no problem with that. The real issue is number 1. The real issue is the first one. And that's because, 2 years, like they said, go marry him, come back. 2 years, that's a long time. But when the life of a family member is at stake, I believe that some rules will be, some things will be reconsidered.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, Nene. Nene, Nene, can we have you? They will take upon him. Everyone is avoiding the first one.
Okay, I think I would like to attempt the first one. I'm hoping that this scenario is in Nigeria, where we can, suspend rules of engagement and get a fake marriage certificate with the boyfriend. And hopefully I have not burnt the bridge with that boyfriend from way back. I can explain what the current situation to him and let him know my life literally depends on it, and hope he plays along. And we can just get some certificate that is forged and have my family back. That's what I'm hoping can work if it's in Nigeria. Okay. Then for the second one, I agree with Madam Ife. I think I would aim the gun at both of his legs, maybe so he's still alive, and I won't kill him, but I think I would want to save my family as well. Then the third one, I'm hoping that even though we all have our bias where the cousin is, it's possible because he likes her. It might just be that he keeps her for the comfort of it. I would have to engage her as well and see if she's willing to talk to him on our behalf.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me have a funny man.
Okay, good evening, good afternoon, sorry, everyone. If I found myself in the first situation, I'll go ahead and, marry my school boyfriend. And maybe at night, anytime he wants to meet me, I'll start performing acrobatic as if I'm possessed or something. Or start doing as people are coming after me. By the time the guy sees me do that, maybe he'll just be leaving me gingerly. Or shall I just look for something until I've exhausted all options. And because I know that my family and my children are at stake there. So I would try to do everything, maybe start behaving as if I'm mad. And the guy said, Mekukuma, just chase me out. Please, I can't deal with you again or something. But I would just look for what to do.
You have not met mad people. You have not met mad people. Okay.
Yeah, I want to answer.
Yeah.
So the first scenario,
of course, I will leave my husband and my children. I'll get married because their life is more important. 2 years, what's 2 years? Some people are already in the marriage, still meeting their boyfriend now, their high school lover. So it's still not gonna take anything. I'll marry the man with all my heart, so my children and my husband can be alive and wait for me for 2 years. So for the second scenario, we're all thinking at that moment, you will not even remember anything. You want to kill the man first. You are not even trying to his leg, because his leg can still move and he will do something. At that moment, what you are thinking of is how to get rid of the man immediately. So the third one, I'm trying to. Yeah, the cousin is already dating the governor. So I can as well, tell her this is the situation. Can you do your thing again for us to have your, I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to be real, like real life scenario thing. I'm not, because you are doing it already. And that is not me that will change you now. Even if I try to change you, you are an adult, you know what you want. So that's it.
Thank you very much. I mean, I'm seeing a lot. Auntie Ini says, marry him and even have a baby self. I know, right? Kill him straight up. Ayanate. Vaughn says, for the second one, I'll blow the mind's brain. So this is, I mean, I love your honesty. Now, but you know that in some other circles, some people will tell you they would rather die, than do some of these things. When a man called Fashola said, may your loyalty not be tested, a lot of people didn't understand what he was talking about. That there are situations where wrong will look like right will look like wrong. God says, thou shalt not kill, but Christians believe that God killed his own child to save the world. That will not pass the test of right and wrong, but it will pass the test of peace and progress. Would you rather stay with your husband and allow everybody die and say, okay, we'll now go to heaven, when an entire generation has been wasted? Or would I present myself as a sacrificial? I mean, if I was in this situation, no brainer for me. Now, here is where I'm going. If you do the number one thing and go and marry this guy for 2 years, there will be an entire group of people who are not in your shoe, who are likely going to look at you and say, useless woman, she denied the faith, she has denied. They are saying it as outsiders. But when they find themselves in the same situation, they can't even tell what they're going to do. Now, take the third case, for instance. You look at this girl, everybody's against her, she's useless, she's useless. What if divinity actually activates her to go ahead of you, knowing fully well what is going to happen, for her to save an entire generation or save an entire family or save an entire group of people? Now, what is considered bad suddenly becomes an opportunity that can save a lot of people. So oftentimes I am a bit more careful, because when you are not in people's shoes, I mean, if I was Nehemiah, how would I serve beer and be tasting beer when I don't drink beer for like 20 years, But that was what he needed to do to be able to gain access to the king and to be able to get diplomatic passport to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem. How would you have coped as Esther, who is a virgin, who had to get into power to prevent the extermination of Jews, but the condition is one night with the king? Of course, one night with the king has become very debatable. People have said she just went to dance before the king, but historians have said that in ancient Persia, the king will have to sleep with you, and the Bible actually says she pleased the king. Now, people have turned it to vigil or whatever, and I'm not for, I'm not against. But what history has shown is what happened there could have been sex. So if it was sex, would it be fornication? When that is the rules of engagement. As a matter of fact, if they knew she was a Jew, she wouldn't have been eligible. So most likely that would pass the test of lie. She had to lie that she was part of the natives for her to even be eligible. Then she went one night with the king. That is what people will label as fornication or whatever. But if you read it as a Christian, it won't even make sense to you. So the power of meaning comes into place when it comes to rules of engagement, because as you begin to build your businesses, now this is not to endorse madness and what people do, but as you get into shallow waters or deep waters, deep waters actually, as you get into different culture, I studied family life culture. I got to a culture in somewhere in the Central Africa, where the woman is the one who can marry 3 husbands. And it's a cultural acceptable thing where a woman can marry 3 husbands, and she would actually schedule the husband. So you can be the husband, it will be in agreement. You are a husband from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Another husband takes over from 11 to 3 p.m. and another one takes over from 5 p.m. to like 11 p.m. and things like that. And it's acceptable. Divorce is very rare in that culture. There are about 6 cultures on the planet where women are the ones who act as husband. They are the one who marry the husband, not the other way around. Now, if you go to that culture, what they are doing will look like wrong to you, but that culture is not complaining. So if you get in there and you want to impose your own rule, you are going to be hitting against the wall. And that is what is called territorial principle. Territorial principle says, in my domain, I am the king. In other people's domain, I am the subject and I'm bound by their laws, which is why for you to be effective in relationship, you have to be culturally intelligent. Cultural intelligence would mean that you need to understand the rules of engagement. There was a missionary who was raped in one country like that many years ago. And what happened? She went to that country wanting to win souls for Christ, got into that country, and the first native she saw, she smiled at the native. The native smiled back at her. Now, in that culture, women don't smile at guys except they want sex. So the guy smiled back. So she went to a hotel room, invited the guy, hoping that she could at least, find a way to communicate and get the guy soul won, which was going to be her first convert. They got into the room. The guy overpowered her and had sex with her. Now it was rape, classified as rape by her. So she went to report at the police station. Then they went to report because the place is governed actually by a village chief. They took the matter to the village council and they arrested the guy. And the guy said, no, I have not done anything wrong. She asked for sex and I gave her sex. And the lady said she did not ask for sex. And the guy said she smiled at me and I smiled back. And they asked the lady, did you smile? I said, yes. I mean, smiling is smiling. I was only trying to get familiar. And they now told her that in that particular community, smiling at a guy is actually saying that I want to have sex with the guy. Rules of engagement. Now, if you don't understand rules of engagement, you will consistently, hit the wall and it will look like things are not working. I have seen people go to another culture and they came with their culture and they realize that they can only transact business with the people of their culture because they don't understand rules of engagement. If you walk in the US, for example, in some spaces, you cannot speak against the LGBT. You will see them. So if you're not culturally intelligent to see them as human beings and learn to accept whatever they're doing without accepting their ways, you would realize that you can go to jail without even knowing. Now, why do we then judge people who are not like us? In superior relationship skills, we have all been wired to accept some people easily and reject some people easily. There's a likelihood that you are likely going to accept people that look like you. In fact, there was a documentary that was done, and they said that when it even comes to cases in court, that tall people, handsome people or people who are very beautiful, they likely get fair hearing and their sentences are not as grievous as ugly people. I don't know their definition of being ugly. Now, they say light complexion people, get better, judgment than dark complexion people. This was a scientific research that was done. They concluded that they also said tall people get better judgment than short people. They also said funny people who have a good sense of humor, they get better judgment than people who are very boring and fearful. Now, this is what it is. Why do we judge people who are not like us? Why do you look at a Muslim, he just wears hijab and that's a turn off for you as a guy, or that's a turn off for you as a Christian? Why do you look at a celeb person and the person is wearing sutana, right? So Tana is a gown, Celestial Church of Christ, a church that originated from Nigeria, where in case you're not from Nigeria, and you consistently conclude that everybody in Cele is fetish, or everybody in CNS is fetish, then you conclude that Pentecostals are the ones who know Christ, when in actual fact, there may be more people who are credible, who have more integrity in the Cele setting than in the Pentecostal setting. At what point has uniform become a standard of measurement of morality? So we see some girls dressed in a kind of inappropriate manner, and we conclude that they are sleeping around. Then we see somebody who doesn't wear a ring, who wears flowing gown, and we conclude that she's a virgin. When in actual fact, it can be the other way around. Now, so you see religion is built on, garments. I've gone to speak in a CNS church before. I wore their whatever. I removed my shoe in a select church I went to when my brother-in-law was getting married. So consistently, we want to always break rules, especially in areas where we have no power. And that's how people consistently miss out on what they could have gotten. So what I'm going to do in this session is to just share one of the rules of engagement with you and open your mind so that as you go out this week, you will begin to see opportunities that may have passed you by that you now need to begin to embrace. Too many people have lost out from the best of relationships because they don't seem to understand the rules of engagement that can keep everyone glued to you and give their all for you, because relationship is vital to all we do, but without mastering the rules, we'll consistently lose out. There are 4 vital keys that I have discovered. There can be more, but you see, these 4 keys can help you win anywhere you go, regardless of your culture or your religion. It can make you become the signature of all eyes where everybody wants to relate with you. I tell people, if you sell any product that has a religious connotation, the only market you are going to have are the markets from those religions. But if you want to reach the entire world, your product and service must pass the test of sun, moon, star, water, and air, which means it must be something everybody needs. Rice is rice. There is no Christian rice. There is no Muslim rice. There is no Buddhist rice. Beans is beans. There is no Christian beans. Sun is sun. Moon is moon. But Bible is Bible. Bible is for Christians. Muslims may not buy it. Buddhists may not buy it. Hindus may not buy it. Atheists may not buy it. Quran is Quran. Christians may not touch it. Now, there's enough population of the Islamic community to buy the Quran. So it might look like it's profitable, but what can we generate? Cancer cure is cancer cure. Everybody needs it in the world, provided you have cancer, right? Malaria is malaria. Everybody needs it. So if you don't open up your mind to begin to get to that level where the way your default thinking is such that you can accommodate all, God may not even entrust the solution to all to you. So the first key is the key of acceptance. Now, accepting people, right? The only tribe that exists is the tribe called humanity. And when we don't master how to accept people, we will judge them on the basis of their tribe, race, or prejudice, which will ultimately affect our capacity to connect and enjoy the beauty of relationship. In the video we saw, that guy couldn't accept that guy because he was black and because maybe he had Down syndrome. That's my assumption. But how many times have you struggled to accept certain people based on how they dressed, based on the English, the way they communicated, based on, the way they talked, or based on the way they looked, right? So the moment you look at a human being and you do not see humanity, what you see is tribe, race, gender. What you see is behavior. What you see is, if that is what you see, you exclude yourself from your capacity to be a blessing to that person, and you begin to judge them. How many times have you hated people that you have not met based on what someone told you about the person? Now, accepting people means that we are not qualified to influence others if we are unwilling to accept their person. So we want to change the LGBT, but we are not willing to accept the LGBT. How do you influence what you are not willing to accept? I actually believe that if the church had accepted the LGBT, to even hear them out, not to accept their behavior, they may have been able to influence them better. They won't have gotten bitter and now pitch their tent against that system of Christianity and now go set up their own. We could have been able to influence them, but what we didn't want to hear. Adam and Steve, Adam and Eve, we don't want to hear. So we persecuted them, unknown to us, in systems intelligence. Whatever you persecute, we grow. Christianity was a minority, it was persecuted, it grew. Islam was a minority, it was persecuted, it grew. ISIS was a minority, persecuted, they grew. LGBT minority, persecuted, now they have grown. So we are not qualified to influence others if you are unwilling to accept their person, because we judge people by their behavior. We rate them by their sexuality. So you have someone, maybe is gay, you don't even think of his competence, you don't think of his kindness, you don't even believe that he has a bit of love inside of him. You just friend zone him or free zone him until the day maybe you have collapsed and that's the only doctor that can treat you. Maybe you also reject that treatment. Accepting people is not the same as accepting their ways or their worldview. But what we're doing here is you are recognizing that they are man made in God's image, and that helps you get the best out of them. I won't accept that I will enter a bedroom and I will sleep with a man. No, that I will not. But I will not also reject people who do that, because there is much more to our engagement than their bedroom. I told someone was asking me yesterday, can you hire an LGBT? I said, why not? As long as their bedroom doesn't come to my office, right? So if you don't learn to accept people, imagine an entire population you can ostracize simply because you are unwilling to accept, forgetting that if God Almighty, as powerful as we know, he could have killed all of them, right? And so there was a building that collapsed, a club. I think it's in Paris or US that collapsed, that had LGBT club or something like that. And the moment it collapsed, I saw a lot of Christians, they were clapping. They said that is God's judgment on them. So when a church collapses, is that also God's judgment on them? You know, so sometimes when we use our prejudice to analyze a situation and get to the conclusion, in fact, more churches have actually collapsed and killed people than more gay, whatever. So is that God's judgment on that house of God as well? So we use our prejudice to judge matters. Everything we have come to accept about people is often man-made. And this man-made differentiation has hurt us more than it has helped us. So you see a Muslim, you equate them to Boko Haram. You see a Catholic, you relate them to idol worshiping. You see an Anglican, you say they are not born again. Then you see Deeper Life, you say they are not dancing. You know, we just invent and create all kinds of things that should actually spice our life and make us relate better because of our differences, but it has pitched us against each other. But look at this. Put 10 children whose purity have not been compromised from 10 different races, culture, religion, and with a different worldview. Put them together in a room, right? You will experience the beauty of humanity because they will create place for themselves and play together. In fact, put hijab on that child, it will remove it. Put a sultana on the child, it's going to remove it. All a child wants to do is play. You were once a child where you didn't know the gay, the straight, you didn't know the Muslim, the Christian, you didn't know the difference. All you wanted to do was play. You didn't know enemy. All you wanted to do was play. You didn't know tribal differences, cultural differences. You just wanted to play. Before the adults in your life, who themselves have been infused with virus, began to show you the difference and began to condition you to ostracize certain people, you know, and only relate with people who look like you. Too many have lost out from the benefits we have derived from others because of our unconscious bias. How many times have you heard Muslims are dash, Christians are this, Africans are blah, men are scums, men are husbands are adulterers, women are blah, 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 Asians are this. You know, how many times have you heard that? So consistently, Christians think they're superior to Muslims. Muslims think they're superior to Christians. Buddhists think they are superior. Everybody thinks they are superior. But if you throw bomb blast into a crowd, bomb will kill everybody, whether Muslim, Christian, or anything. None of us can survive a bomb blast. That's to prove that we are not superior to each other. When we master how to accept people as human beings, we will receive them the same way we receive the most important person in our lives, and our reception of them will determine how we treat them. Right. Who have you been programmed to reject that you could actually need for your most critical needs? I am going to ask that question. Now, I want you to check your life, and I hope you can be very honest. Who do you think you have been programmed to reject right now? Can you put that answer in the chat box? The way you were raised, your worldview before now, who were you programmed to reject, right? That you know that this person actually may hold the key to my critical need. Can I see your answers? Who have you been programmed to reject? What group, what color, what race, what culture, what religion have you been programmed based on what you were told? When I was younger, my father would say, you can't marry Ijebu. Yet we were living in Ogun State. You can't marry a Lagos girl. You can't marry people from Shagamu because they don't stay in their husband's houses. You can't marry people from Egba. They just say funny things. You can only marry from Ondo State, but there are many fools also in Ondo State, and that's the way orientation. I know they're trying to protect us, but at the end of the day, how would you, blame and by the time you ask them, where did you get this conclusion from? You just find out there's one story that happened sometime in the past that has no relevance and no basis to who the person is. Ayanate says, people not in my religion. Thank you very much. Tell me, saying people from other tribes, right? So your mother will say to you, don't marry an Igbo person. Okay, I came up with saying Buddhist, atheists, Hindus. Vaughn is saying, I just remember my parents telling us not to associate with people that they call Osu. Osus, they call them outcasts, right? So you even hear some people call some children bastard. What does that mean? There are no illegitimate children. Maybe you only have a legitimate parent or an irresponsible parent somewhere because one of them has taken responsibility. Okay, I might say LGBT people, but I have some of them as best friends now. You realize that when it comes to the most critical things we need to focus on, compassion, love, equity, those things, every human being has got them. But we focus on people's sexuality. Okay, I'm like saying Northern Muslims, Osu, and the rest of them. So you realize that we have all been programmed not to accept certain people. But how do you innovate for them when you can't accept them? So here are my tips for the week so that I don't overload you with information. Remember I told you there are 4 critical keys you need to master: acceptance, respect, understanding, and love. But I'll focus on accept today. Number one thing you need to do, accept people strictly from the standpoint of humanity. As you leave this meeting today, the only thing you must see henceforth is man made in God's image. You need to uninstall the wiring in your brain so that you can enjoy the beauty of humanity. If you detest people, they don't show up on your radar. If you detest them, you can't see the beauty that lies in them, and they cannot help you. Even when they stand in front of you to help you as answers to your prayers, you will reject them. Accept people strictly from the standpoint of humanity. Number 2, be intentional about making friends with people who don't believe your beliefs, who don't belong to your groups, and read books you may not ordinarily read to better understand other people's model of the world. As a family life professional, working with people from diverse tribes, I have had to read the Quran several times. I have had to read the Gita of the Hindus a couple of times. I have had to read all kinds of books. Try to understand quantum physics. Try to understand simulation. Try to understand virtual reality. And try to understand what the atheists are thinking, right? Step into their shoes. Step into their world so that when they come to me, I am able to engage them effectively. And that has really, really worked for me because now I can literally work with any group and any group behavior without compromising my own standard. My standard remains, but I'm not going to judge them because question is, if you were born in China, so the Prime Minister of China, if that was your father, what religion would you have practiced, right? Can you type the answers in there? What religion would you have practiced? Would you have been a born-again Christian that you talk about so well right now? What religion would you have practiced? What would have been your worldview about life? Would you have even been in this meeting? There are things you will never have believed. If you were born to the king of Saudi Arabia and the king of Saudi Arabia is your father, what religion would you have practiced? What would your name have been? What school would you have attended? What would have been your worldview? You won't even be praying about, God, give me a car, give me a house, because wealth is in the family. You have everything you need, so you lack nothing. So you won't even know that anything is wrong, right? So you need to be intentional with making friends with people who don't share your beliefs. Just listen to them. Now give them the best experience they could have had in their lifetime. Imagine the video we saw. Imagine if that guy had helped. Even the Bible says that some people have entertained strangers, by entertaining strangers, have entertained angels. So everywhere you go, give people the best experience they could have in their lifetime. Be the dispenser of human, higher, superior level of human engagement, that when they come into your world, they have to say, wow, if you relate with Ife, your life cannot remain the same. And you see, when that is what you consistently do, they will recommend you at some point in time. Now, number 4, predetermine the response you want from people after every encounter with you. Predetermine, we call it the engagement code. Engagement code is, what is that one word that they would say about you every time you leave people? So if they say Akinrokpo is sweet, if sweetness is the word you want to work for, you ensure that if you hang out with people for 4 minutes or 5 minutes, you have given them enough sweetness that when you are leaving, they're like, wow, that guy is so sweet. You are very intentional with that. It was something I learned in 2001, that when people are with you, they must not leave you feeling stupid, feeling that they are foolish. You can't insult them. No, you give them the best of treatment. People are opportunities. People are not interruption. That was what my mentor taught me. Predetermine the response you want. So if I ask you, every encounter with people, what is that one word you want them to feedback about you? What would it be, right? If I say praise is dash, what would that dash be if they are talking about you in your absence? Can you put it in the chat box? What is that dash for you? Is it compassionate? Is it kind? Is it sweet? Is it funny? Is it playful? Is it, excellent? What is it for you? And you're not to say it's friendly and helpful. Fantastic. So from today, every time you are with people, make sure you do an act of friendliness and an act of help, that they look back at you, they say, wow, she was very helpful. Aima is kindness. So be it LGBT, straight, not pedophilia, whatever group they are, you are giving them acts of kindness because you must see them as human beings. Stephen is saying compassionate and helpful. Fantastic. Compassionate. Nana is saying warm and has good vibes. Right? Vaughn is saying Chinwendu is a force that beautifies all. Now, if you're fond of looking for beauty in all, there is no way beauty will not find its way into your life. And Yana says, I need good vibes. So if that is what you work for, at all times, there are doors that will open, because then you become like God, who sends sun and rain on both the just and the unjust. So that way, when people say you can't determine what people say about you, is not true. You can predetermine it if you are intentional in sending your signal. Timothy is saying Nonso is compassionate and warm. Next thing is seek. Okay, Kitemi is kind and resourceful. Seek to learn something from them that you have never known before. There is always something people can teach you. Area boys have something to teach you, right? Yahoo boys have something to teach you, right? Anybody. Bokwar, I have learned a lot from terrorism. I've learned a lot of parenting by observing terrorism, because I keep asking, how do you radicalize a human being to kill himself? If you can radicalize evil, then we can radicalize good. I have looked at their template and I've built an entire model, around it, right? So, and on that note, I'll tell you, if you are here, I'm starting a class this afternoon. I think that'll be evening Nigerian time, 8 p.m. It's called New African Village Systems Intelligence. I'm helping families build systems across 11 months. Right? One system every month. We start with February. They're working with a workbook and a lot of materials. They're going to be designing all kinds of things, across 11 months. So if you want to join that class, you can reach out to me privately, right? It's not free, but you can spread your payment. Okay. Now, seek to learn something from them that you have never known before. Don't let anybody leave you the same. Don't let them leave you the same. Okay, I love that the Israel is saying an encouraging person. Be an encourager. There are so many people wanting to die who need you, both Muslim, Christian, wherever they are ready to end their lives. They need that the Israel. Now imagine if that encouragement is put as an app that can encourage people. You know, here is Israel Laure encouraging you this morning. You're about to end your life. Don't give up. There is something new about. Imagine if there's a voice that comes out of you as form of an app every day, and that is resonating through the entire world. Is reaching the Buddhists in their language, reaching the Muslims, reaching the entire world. That is how to become like God. Now, you need to be open-minded to accept them, even if you may not totally accept their worldview or behavior. Do I understand how a man can touch a man? I will never understand it, honestly, because I can't see anything in human body, in a man's body, that should attract another man. But would I now say others who are doing it, they are mad? No way, I will not say that. I am open-minded. I am not going to do it, but some people are doing it, and I'm not going to kill them or ostracize them from my life. I'm going to relate with them intelligently, right? And find a way maybe to influence or help. Some might need trauma. Might have trauma in their lives. I am willing to help. I am not going to withhold the bowel of mercy based on their sexuality, because there are people who are polygamists. There are liars. There are swindlers. I am not giving them that treatment. So why would I judge other people differently? Then next, recognize that you could have exactly been like them if you were raised in the circumstances that produced them. That is called empathy. You need to step into their model of the world. If you know their story, you would realize I could have been you. Some were raped early by their uncles. Some were raped by their aunties. People were messed up. People went through all kinds of crises. That you survived doesn't mean everyone will survive. So when you see people in their rash state, in their root state, it might be where they are based on the pain that has been inflicted on them. So if you are an encourager, if you say, I am compassionate, you look for how to help. Recognize it could have been you. You could have been that person that was raped early, you could have been that person who was sodomized. It could have been you. It could have been you. And if it were you, most likely you'll be acting like them. Now, you see, the man that can deploy contact without contamination is the man that can win. And the owner of a system is usually the most flexible. So remember that this is an intelligent class wherein you are being prepared to be culturally intelligent and be able to deploy rules of engagement to relate with everyone. See, contact without contamination is the word. And you need to be very flexible. Without flexibility, you will cut yourself short. You will cut yourself off from the people you should be with. I see people, Africans in America and in Canada, and the only people they are relating with are still Africans. If all you are doing are relating with Nigerians in the diaspora, you need to go back to Lagos and go and be staying in Lagos, right? The whole essence of coming here is to relate with people who don't think like you, who don't reason like you, and understand them. If your entire world, as you are listening to me, you are joining from diaspora, the people in your life right now are all Nigerians. Please pack your bag and go back to Ibadan, so that you can go back there and that's where you should be living. And let people in Nigeria who wants to open their minds to relate with other people, let them come. So contact without contamination and flexibility. You need to be flexible in your worldview, right? God places people around you so that you can learn. There are Muslims in your workplace, learn from them. There are Christians in your workplace, learn from them. Why Ibadan? Okay, let them come to Ondo town. Now, I want you to look at this. It says, behold, this is Jesus talking. I send you out as sheep among wolves. Be as wise as the serpent and be as innocent as doves. This is a scripture on cultural intelligence. Now, let us dimension this a bit. I send you out as sheep among wolves. And I need you to answer this question. If I'm your boss and I say, guys, this week, you guys are all sheep, but I am sending you out to go and work for wolves, what will be your impression of me? Can you answer the question in the chat box? What be your impression of me? I am your boss. I love you. But I'm saying this week, you are sheep. Go and walk among wolves. Let us see the people who have been watching National Geography, right? What would be your impression of me? Let's say you are now doing sheep meeting after I've given that instruction. What would be your impression of me? You are a bad leader. I am not a thank you. Wicked boss. You know why? Because the favorite meal of wolf is sheep. Wolves can avoid anything. They can't avoid sheep. Sheep is like Nigerian jollof, right? But that is exactly what it's saying. I send you out as maybe a Christian among Muslims or an heterosexual among LGBT, right? It could be anything. But it now told you, look at this. It says, be as wise as the serpent. Or before I even get there, the question is, how do you survive as a sheep among wolves? Very simple. You need to disguise. Disguise is what people call hypocrisy. So there are times to disguise. There's a time to show yourself. Even Esther was told, do not tell them who you are until the appointed time. You will call that a lie. God told Samuel, go and anoint David. Samuel told God, Saul will kill me. God told Samuel, tell Saul you are going for sacrifice. Was God teaching him how to lie? Rules of engagement. That there is a time not to show yourself. You must disguise. So it's called contact without contamination. You look like the corrupt, but you are not corrupt. You look like the bad guys, but you are not the bad guy. You look like I support LGBT when you may not support them, right? You need to know how to engage with the rules of engagement. Empathy, basically. So to survive as sheep among wolves, you need to disguise and behave that you are a wolf, right? So you behave like wolf. Meanwhile, you are a sheep. Because if they see wolf to wolf, they will welcome you. Many of you have had those shot because you were declaring who you are. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. I'm a pastor. I'm a pastor. So there are information they never give you because they don't trust your capacity to handle it. Have you not seen that these days, when people do the baddest things, they don't want to talk to a pastor? In fact, if they have pastors, they will likely say, no, if when they come to me, I don't know about you, they say, praise, I know you come to my church, promise you won't tell my pastor what I'm about to tell you. And I'm wondering, why don't you trust your pastor? Not all pastors are bad. Some pastors are counselors. Daddy Olaore is here. I know quite a number of them who will keep confidentiality. Pastor Godman and the rest of them, but that is people. They have now associated pain. They say, they may punish us. You may put us out. But they are looking for someone, a non-judgmental environment where they can freely share. So you need to disguise, or else wolf will kill you, guaranteed. God will even be shocked that you are in heaven. So it says, be wise as serpent. How can you say serpent is wise? Serpent is cunning. What does a serpent do? A serpent's mission is to bite you. But a serpent hides under the green grass and looks like the grass. You are stepping on the serpent is not complaining. You are trampling on the serpent is not complaining. It can even pretend as if it's dead. But when it's time to strike you, it will strike without emotion, right? That's how suicide bombers behave. They will look normal. They are walking into a market, but when it's time to blow up themselves, they are going to blow themselves. A serpent changes color to suit its motive. So that's what it's saying. So when people say, you are an hypocrite, you are an hypocrite, you know where they got hypocrite from? Hypocrite is not an English word. Hypocrite is a character in the Greek Empire, in the era of the Greek Empire. That was where Jesus learned that concept from. Hypocrite is the character who comes into the cinema and wears a mask and says, my name is Praise for I'm a family life professional. Then he goes again, wears another mask, the same person, and comes again and says, my name is Von Who and Co. I'm a kind of compassionate wife. Then he goes back again and comes again and says, anything. The same person, manifesting in different characters. That is the character called hypocrite. And that's where hypocrisy came out from. So it's not necessarily a bad word. It's how it is deployed. And when it now becomes a way of life that it becomes bad. It's called contact without contamination. If you master what I'm teaching you today, you'll be so powerful, so effective everywhere you go. So it said, be as wise, cunning, as the serpent, and be as innocent as the dove. That you are gentle, that is called meekness. Meekness is, I am so powerful, but I refuse to use my power in my wisdom. Right. So remember, you can't be entrusted with the solutions of the people you are unwilling to accept. It will never happen. That if you are unwilling to accept a people, it will be rare that God will put the solution for them in your heart, because he knows the solution will not get to them. That's why we need to begin to ask, how come God did not give the solution of Facebook to maybe a practicing Christian? Maybe if he gives it to him, he will not allow Muslims use it. He will not allow Buddhists use it. Why didn't he give it to an Afar? Maybe he will not allow Christians use it. He had to give to people who are free thinkers, so that they just want to do business, let humanity have access to it. So the first rule is the rule of acceptance, right? I want to believe that this will help you this week. As you go out this week, look at everyone through the standpoint of humanity, be intentionally nice to them, and deploy your engagement code that Yvonne is compassionate or kind, or Ayanate is sweet. Practice that, and you will see how it makes you feel. You will hear what people begin to say about you. You qualify yourself to be a custodian of people's secrets. I hope I see some of you later today in the 11-month program that is starting. Thank you very much. I hope this has helped you today to become more effective. Bukola, do you have any question? I can see your hand up. If anybody has a question, then I can take the question. If not, I'll hand over to Ayo. Bukola, are you trying to ask a question? Or that was a mistake?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay.
It was not.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Over to you.
Thank you so much, PF. As always, it's been another insightful session. We've been able to glean so many things. And I know that even as we begin to apply these things to our lives, we become better individuals. We become people who are indeed impactful worldwide. Because our desire is not just for us to make impact in our little community. We want to be able to relate with everyone all over the world. Like PF said, like God, who shines the light on both the Christians, the Muslims, the Buddhists, the Fulanis, the Hausas, whatever you are, you get the same thing. No one doesn't have access to everything God has created. So if we begin to apply all that PF has mentioned to us today, we find out that we are relevant in any climb that we find ourselves. We are able to relate, we are able to interact, we are able to feel what the other party, or have an idea of what the other party is going through, thereby impacting such a person positively at the end of the day. So we've come to the end of today's meeting. We have a few announcements for us, which will be streamed, which will be shown on the screen at the moment. For those who are joining us for the very first time, this is the House of Saviors, and we thank you so much for joining us today. And we'd like to just find out, you can go into the chat box and just tell us how you found the session today. Just say something amazing, phenomenal, great, whatever it is. Just go into the chat room, the chat box, and just put that in there. And if this place looks like a place you would want to hang out every week, I love hanging out here. Kindly invite other people as well. And make sure you also make yourself available every week. Our meetings are about impact. And we expect you to go out there to practicalize everything you learn here week after week. Don't just take in and take in and take in. Let there be a result of all that you learn here, and come back to also share. I'm sure one of these days we'll have like a testimony Sunday, a day to share all you have learned, the impact that it has made in your life. We'd like you to know that the House of Saviors is the flagship project of Praise Forward Research LLC USA. While we don't levy anyone, we appreciate support from everyone. We encourage you to support this project, and we'll be sharing, where you can give your donations to. Please screen grab. Just take a snapshot. We'll give you 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Just take a snapshot of this, and send whatever comes to your heart to this account, so that we'll be able to continue to research and, do this work that has been committed into our hands. Yes, thank you so much, everyone. We know that today has been another day of impact, and make sure you do go out there to impact our world as well. So as we wrap up, we'll take our creed. And I want us to just take note of every word, even as we take our creed this afternoon. After the count of 3, let's all read it together. Let's unmute ourselves and read together. 1, 2, 1.
We belong to a tribe of saints and are trustworthy. Whatever comes out of us must the test of worship unto God. We influence our world
everywhere we go.
Where we go,
So what happens
in us and around us.
And love
what you experience when you encounter
we are stable
create solution to the world.
Yes. Thank you so much.